for the beer radio you've been looking for. This is the show that dispels myths, tackles the toughest topics, and makes no apologies for geeking out on beer. Hosted by two guys that drink before they think. Jamil Zainasheff and John Palmer. This is Brew Strong.
Hey, howdy, hey, my brewing brothers and sisters.
Greetings, cretins. How are y'all today?
John. It was good to be at the Homebrew conference. We did our shows there. We haven't been together since then. Yeah,
it's we've both been busy. I know. I was in South Africa for a couple weeks right after that.
Yeah, how was South Africa?
It was very nice. They do a beer boot camp down there, which is kind of mingle home and craft brewers, and had some very nice beers. This is their third year doing it, and I must say, like everywhere else I've gone in the world, when the craft beer breweries start up, there's always those first hesitant steps, a few bad beers, a few off flavors. But, when brewers get together and talk and try each other's beers, within 2 years, huge improvements. And there's some really exciting beers being brewed in South Africa now. So, really good time.
Cool. I went to, after the conference, I went to Chicago and spent a week in Chicago visiting accounts and doing some events and having a good time. Went to a couple of breweries. And had a really good time at a couple of breweries there, and then went to Indiana, where I thought I would see John Blickman.
Ah, our good friend.
Our good friend. I mean, John Blickman, he's sponsoring the show. He's paying for the show so you don't have to. Now, that immediately should make him a friend to everyone out there that listens to the show. And on top of that, he is a brilliant mind that produces some incredible, new technology for brewing.
He's always thinking.
Always thinking. And, I would suggest getting yourself over to blickmanengineering.com and checking out all the great stuff they have there, all the new things that they... I'll tell you, one of the things that I was impressed with, because I had not seen it in person before, I really haven't... really wasn't excited about this Riptide pump. I mean, I think you told me about it, but John, your descriptive abilities really just lacking. I don't know.
Man, a few words.
Man, a few words. And most of them are curse words. So, I really didn't get quite the description you were laying on me. But when I was at the conference and I got to see the Riptide pump in person, and John Blickman took it apart for me, I was like, wow, all right, this is really cool. I mean, the head disassembles in, split seconds. You can have this thing apart and cleaning it in a moment. With traditional pumps, you got to undo the screws and all that. It takes forever to get the thing apart. This, if you want to make sure that thing's clean, you do it every brew, just because it's that easy. The outlet and inlet direction is completely changeable. So if you wanted to, go out this way or that way, you can just change that around. The bleed off device to keep that thing from backing up with air. I mean, there's just so many great innovations in that thing.
Yeah. If you want a good head on a pump, see Blickman. That's the bottom
John
line.
will make sure you get good head. The heat sink fins on those things to take the heat. When you're pumping boiling wort, you need to disperse heat, or the motor can overheat. Is really one of the problems. The windings and all that overheats, and the motor will shut down. So having that heat sink on there actually helps quite a bit as well. I think it's just brilliant. He took something that was adequate and made it fantastic. I mean, that's the kind of things he does. Anyways, I ramble on. But if you get a chance, go to BlickmanEngineering.com. You can send an email to feedback at BlickmanEngineering.com and tell them how much you appreciate that they support this show. But check out the Riptide. If you're in the market for a pump, I think it's worth every penny. Absolutely. I am not bullshitting you. Let's see. Today.
What do we got planned for today?
Well, back in March, I went to Fuller's in England and brewed a collaboration brew with my good friends there. And my good friend Henry is on the line with us. Henry, what's your title there?
Do you want my title that I've given myself or my official one? My official one is I am a brewing team leader. Sounds pretty boring because I don't actually lead my team, they lead me. I like to think of myself as just a humble production brewer, really. I just try and help to get things done.
So is that the title you've given yourself, humble production brewer? Or is it God of something?
Actually, I gave myself the title innovation brewer, and then I was told by my boss that I now had to own it.
Right.
So, yes. So call me what you will. You know, I am merely just an apprentice brewer.
Well, I will say this. When I was there, your bosses seemed to really like you and to think, quite a bit of you and your innovative abilities.
They were on their best behaviour. But yes, well, no, thank you for saying that. Yeah, they have allowed me a very, very long leash, especially with the beer that we made together.
Right. So it was a blackberry Goza, which
I still can't believe who did it now. Really,
every time I mention it to somebody, I mention it to Scott. He's like, "What? Fuller's doing like a sour?
Huh?
It's like they don't do sours, do they?" And it's like, well, not before.
Yeah, they do now.
Yeah. So
not for 172 years.
Right.
Wow. It's mind blowing.
Right. One of the coolest things about it was, and I'm going to jump around here, while we're talking. One of the coolest things was at one point Henry's like, "Hey, have you heard about the brew logs?" I'm like, "Yeah. They've got brew logs, handwritten brew logs that go back, ages." So he's like, "Here, take a look at it." So here's the book, this 100-year-old brew log. He's like, "Yeah, knock yourself out."
Wow.
I'm flipping through this thing, and I'm like, "Is it okay if I take a picture of it?" And he's like, "Yeah, go ahead." Took a picture of it, and at one point, we got a picture of the log from 100 years prior to the day we were brewing.
Wow.
And I'm like, "Can I post on social media?" They're like, "Yeah, go ahead." So post on social media as well. As it's just so cool to see what they were brewing 100 years ago to the day that we were brewing the Goza.
What was it? Do you remember? What was the beer? Porter?
No,
I was hoping you weren't going to ask that. I've forgotten as well.
It was like a. I have a friend who like researches these logs, and he looked at it and he was like, "Oh yeah, that's this, that, and the other thing." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." Now I forget. It was like some sort of pale.
At that time, they did a lot of sort of Burton strong ales and things like that.
Yeah,
so it was that kind of thing back then, I would say.
I think that's what it was, like a Burton Strong.
Well, it's mind-blowing, too, because every time you read the Wikipedia article on something that's old, especially as old as Fuller's, always their records were destroyed in a fire in 1911. Right. It's amazing that they've survived this whole time.
There's been brewing on that site for 300 years.
Wow.
And it's like the last brewery, historic brewery left in London.
That's so cool.
And they hadn't had a beer go sour until you got there.
Right.
Well, none that we'd allowed to leave anyway.
Well, and Henry, you came from. I think your history of getting into brewing and brewing is actually quite interesting. And why don't you tell everybody how you got started?
I was about 26 years old when I realised I wanted to be a brewer. So I was in retail, and I was slowly developing a hatred for the general public. I just couldn't really handle them anymore, so I realised I had to do something else. And then a mate came back from Australia, and he was starting to tell me about brew pubs in Australia. And I was like, this is an incredible idea. I need to do this for London. So this was about 2008. So unbeknownst to me, underneath the surface, there was this craft beer bubble just bubbling away. And I just leapt into it without having any real idea about the science that was involved or all the hard work. I just thought I could make a big success of it. And then reality hit when I had to go back to school to get my science grades to go to Heriot-Watt up in Edinburgh to their brewing school. And, and then I've started working in some microbreweries and Harvey's as well for a wonderful summer down near Brighton. And then
Harvey's
I got a job at Fuller's.
Yeah, Harvey's.
Incredible. Through LinkedIn.
They've been brewing at Harvey's it's impossible to get a tour of Harvey's, right? You can ask. But they're just like, we can't do them anymore. We have like a 3-year waiting list. Forget it. They don't even respond to you anymore. But Henry was able to get me into Harvey's for a tour. And he had told me it's like they're brewing 500 years ago. It's pretty much the same thing.
Wow.
And sure enough.
1799 is when they started on that site or something. Incredible.
Yeah. Open fermenters and, very cool. It's
what's their boil system like?
Beautiful, I would say. I mean, there's one pump in the whole place. It's very, very Victorian, sort of gravity fed, I should say. Apart from the pump that takes it from the copper through to the hot back, I should say, to the power flow, which is also manually operated. That was my job over that summer. That was terrifying. Everything is in Fahrenheit, which is very difficult for people from the UK now. And the actual temperature gauge the pressure gauge was broken. So you had one valve controlling the hot beer coming through, and then you had the other one controlling the cold water. And you were just 155. That seems really warm for the yeast, but I think that's going to be okay. So a really magical place.
Wow. Yeah. Well, and so you got yourself over to Fuller's somehow. You must have impressed somebody in your interview, which is surprising to me. Now, Henry, I love you. I count you as a dear friend, but I don't know that you're really the best. Right out of the gate. I would imagine in an interview you might say something, I don't know, inappropriate, not in a crude way, but you might say something inappropriate in just a very honest, straightforward way.
Well, to be honest with you, Jamil, I was so certain that I would not get the job at Fuller's that when I went for the first interview, I was like, this is fantastic. I'm getting a tour around with the brewers. I can ask all these questions. There's no way they're going to give me the job.
Right.
I'm not, Fuller's material. So imagine my horror when they rang me up the same day to say that I'd got a second interview.
Yeah,
I was as astonished as anyone else.
So you now have a chance to come back and change your answers.
you were so relaxed that it was just very natural, I'm sure.
Exactly. But then in the second interview, I was completely different. I was totally uptight. On my face went beetroot red. I was just stumbling through the answers, and I was there being interviewed by the chief, one of the chief executives of the company, the head brewer, all these people, and I was kind of spluttering, and I could see Georgina Young, my boss, sort of looking at me a bit like, what's happened to you? But I managed to kind of stumble through.
He was so good before. What the heck?
Oh my God, I'm so close.
He had something to lose.
Exactly.
All right, I'm very far behind on taking a break here. Got to take a break, and then I want to hear more about Fuller's. I think Fuller's is an amazing place, and I think it is every bit as cool as Harvey's. Believe it or not, I think there's history there and amazing people. It's one of my favorite breweries. So I want to hear more about that when we come back. So we're going to take a short break, and we'll be back right after this.
Are you looking for a simple brewing system that's great for all grain brewing, but everything on the market seems to be full of compromises? Blickman Engineering has the answer. The Blickman Brew Easy All Grain Brewing System. The Brew Easy is a complete system with easy upgrades and a beautiful compact design, perfect for any size brewing location. At its core, the Brew Easy is built on two gorgeous Blickman Boilermaker brew kettles, a high-temperature March pump, and either a top-tier gas burner or the new Boil Coil electric heater. The Brew Easy adapter lid allows the pots to stack on top of each other, forming an efficient, strong, and compact brewing setup that comes in 5, 10, and 20-gallon batch sizes. Upgrade your Brew Easy system with full automated control by adding a Blickman Tower of Power temp controller, and make moving around easy with the Blickman Kettle Cart. The Brew Easy is modular. If you already own a Boilermaker kettle, you can build your Brew Easy by purchasing just the modules you need. The new Brew Easy all-grain brewing system. See it today at BlickmanEngineering.com and brew with Blickman quality on your new Brew Easy. Since the first time the Brewing Network microphones turned on, More Beer was behind it. More Beer sponsors the programming on the BN because, like you, they love brewing. And like the Brewing Network, they love sharing their knowledge. Morebeer.com isn't just a website to place your next equipment or ingredient order. Morebeer.com also gives you access to free beer information that will make you a better brewer. Go to morebeer.com and click into the Learning Center. You'll find podcasts, technical facts, video tutorials, and more, including access to The Buzz, More Beer's social network of more than 5,000 members. And some of them might even be crazier about beer than you are. Get over to morebeer.com today and take advantage of The Buzz, the forum, the Learning Center, and make sure you're signed up to receive the newest More Beer catalog. More Beer, bringing you absolutely everything for beer making. When I order a beer, I want my server to know more about it than I do. I want someone who enjoys good beer and loves helping others enjoy it too. I want someone who knows how to pour a perfect pint for every beer style. I want a Cicerone.
The Cicerone Certification Program is creating the type of people who help you enjoy great beer. Home brewers and craft beer lovers know beer is more flavorful and complex than ever, and it takes some serious knowledge to store and serve beer right. Cicerones know beer. There are 3 levels in the Cicerone program: Certified Beer Server, Certified Cicerone, and Master Cicerone. Cicerones are truly the sommeliers of beer. The best beer locations have a Certified Cicerone on staff. Relaxed and unpretentious. Cicerones are tested on storing and serving beer, beer styles, flavor and tasting, the brewing process and ingredients, and pairing food with beer. Learn more about your next beer guide at cicerone.org. Certified Cicerone, because it takes top talent to present a perfect pint.
Since 1979, Williams Brewing has offered the finest equipment and freshest ingredients and the best customer service in the business. Check out their brand new patent-pending Mash and Boil 110-volt electric mashing and boiling unit. This compact all-stainless unit lets you mash, sparge, and boil just about anywhere that has a 110-volt plug. Double-wall construction adds to efficiency and safety, and a precise thermostat keeps temperatures where you want them. Unlike insulated buckets and converted coolers, multiple temperature rest mashing is easy to do, all for under $300. They also feature the Mark II work pump, a magnetic drive high-temperature pump that does the work of pumps that cost twice as much, as well as exclusive Brewer's Edge regulators and quality Keg King kegs and disconnects. Check them out today at williamsbrewing.com to brews their vast selection.
Back to your hosts, Jamil Zainasheff and John Palmer. Putting the testicles in technical. This is Brew Strong.
All right, we're back. We're talking with my good friend Henry Kirk. He's the brewing innovation leader at Fuller's.
Yes, I am.
Innovation God, I thought I heard.
The God of innovation.
There you go.
Well, and I will say that, I don't think anyone else really could have gotten Fuller's to brew a Goza than Henry. I think it would have just been impossible.
Was it a hard sell?
Henry?
Well, it depends who you talk to.
The people who didn't want it, or the people who did?
It was I don't know. A lot of people seem to think that I kind of ambushed Fuller's into doing it. I would say that that's wrong. I spoke to lots of very important people. Unfortunately, those important people didn't talk to each other. So it suddenly seemed like a big shock. But then, I could keep it going by saying, well, Jamil's coming. He's flying in. I can't tell him that we're not doing it anymore.
And the British being...
can't be rude.
The British aren't going to be rude, so they're going to do it anyways and just pour it down the drain when I'm not there and not looking. I mean, it could really not be being sold. They could just be faking all these untapped posts and these untapped check-ins, And it really just... the moment I left, it's just they opened the valve and right down the drain. But... I don't know. Henry wouldn't lie to me.
Henry, how many of those check-ins are yours? Be honest.
I'm not actually on Untapped. I only actually downloaded Skype today to do this interview, so I'm incredibly untechy. So they weren't me. So.
Well, Jamil, describe the beer for us, if you would.
A blackberry goza. So, goza being, slightly tart, a little bit of salt, a little bit of coriander, and then, we added blackberry to it.
So no real hop bittering, or it was all done by the blackberry and the coriander.
Yeah, we threw in a little bit of bittering. I don't remember. It was just a few IBUs.
Yes, 5 kilos of SARTs.
Oh, okay.
And this is in U.S. barrels. It's 208 barrels.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
It was a massive thing. Well, and I think, what's interesting is, I think, Henry, you've done Fuller's a great service here in, getting this through. I don't think it hurt Fuller's in any way. And the people who are amazed and excited and interested in Fuller's because of this, people that I normally talk to, they're just like, well, yeah, Fuller's, it's great, it's traditional, they're not really excited about anything. And this excited those folks. This made them like, whoa, I need to pay more attention to Fuller's because look at what they're doing. So I think that, it was a great boon to Fuller's.
Yes, and that was in all seriousness, that was a big part of why we wanted to do it, because we really wanted to show people that we had the sort of technical expertise to be able to pull this off. Mm-hmm. And I think we really did it, and it was the best thing about it for me was how incredibly motivated, not that they're not anyway, but how enthusiastic the whole team were, and how everybody, as you saw, Jamil, how everyone chipped in and solved all the many issues that I hadn't really thought about. Mm-hmm. Everyone just jumped in, and that was what was fantastic about it for me, really.
Well, I was so impressed with. And, we get around about the Brewing a Goza thing, but, I think there was a lot of support from the brewing team about brewing the Goza, and they really wanted to see this thing succeed. The number of people that came around when we were doing things like, just running the Paraflow or, throwing in the bacteria. I mean, it was, I joked when it was happening, but the cameras clicking, and I'm like, this must be the most photographed moment in Fuller's history, because everyone's really excited to see us pouring bacteria into the kettle. And Henry isn't kidding when he says the hurdles that had to be overcome, but such a great brewing team that really had this is a group of clever, passionate individuals that want to make this happen, and the brewing system as set up is designed to brew party guile and brew beers of certain strengths in certain sequences. And when you try and kettle sour something overnight and then move it back into the sequence, it's got a sequence number, and now it's not in the sequence anymore, and you're telling it, well, it's in the kettle. It's like, no, it's in the fermenter. That was yesterday. That beer doesn't exist. What are you doing? You can't do that. So there was a lot of little challenges trying to cool down the wort to 37 degrees C. Just isn't something that the system, the computerized Paraflow system is designed to do. And, it's meant for going much colder and not for knocking out from one kettle into another kettle. So there were a lot of challenges. It was a lot of fun. It was 2 days I was there, and I loved every minute of it.
Did you bottle?
No, the thing wasn't done when I left by the time.
Is the plan to bottle this beer?
No, I think it was all draft.
Draft only.
Is that correct, Henry?
Yes, all in 30-litre kegs. Yeah.
So I have not tasted it.
Oh yes, you will. That's a promise. But Jamil, you will be delighted to hear that. Amazingly, we sold it all.
Right.
We kegged it all. It's all gone.
You saved me a keg?
Well, yes, there are still kegs waiting export, so I'll see what I can do.
All right. Yeah, I will. I will come by the brewery, and I expect to taste that.
That sounds really good.
Oh, yeah. Hey, all right, so what are we brewing next? New England IPA, yeah? A hazy IPA? Come on, let's get that one on the schedule.
Well, it's funny you should say that because we're actually doing a collaboration brew with Cloudwater on Thursday, which will be I don't know what the hell it's going to be, but it's some sort of northeastern IPA thing. And it's the most incredible beer that I've ever tried to design because we've literally just added the maximum amount of hops we can in every single step of the brewing process, of the cold side, I should say. And someone asked me to calculate the BUs, and I just said, I have no idea. Mm-hmm. My formulas do not work with this. Mm-hmm. So we will just have to see what it turns out like. And how opaque it is, we'll just find out when it finally arrives in the glass, really.
Mm-hmm. Well, and have you tried any of the new techniques that we were talking about, like dumping the hop sump and the trub sump, and then adding more hops in?
They wouldn't let me do that. I've got to be honest with you. Everything that you said to me, Jamil, I did ask.
All the insanity that. So we're there, and I'm like, all right. So here's all my ideas. And I was like, you could do this, you could do that. And so it's a brewery set up for party guile. And British brewing, has traditionally been centered around party guile, getting many worts from one mash. So I'm telling John Geeling about polyguile, where we are taking a wort from a mash, dumping the grains, and then using that wort to dough in another set of grains. And he's looking at me like I've lost my freaking mind. He's just a super nice guy. But I could just tell he was just like, what in the hell are these people doing over in the U.S.? I mean, they have lost their goddamn minds. I think you should do that too, Henry. You should make a really...
We did talk about it. That's the best thing. I mean, because having you there was fantastic because you were wackier than me. Because normally I'm the one who's constantly pushing the envelope and saying, let's do this. And everyone's like, shut up. And then you were there. And they're like, Henry, everything Henry says sounds normal.
Yeah, Henry, you sound reasonable now.
We did actually seriously discuss that for quite a long time. And then we forgot about it because I think we got intimidated about what we might have to do.
I'll come back. We'll do it. When I'm there, they're just like, well, all right, sure.
I think it's because we don't want to lose face in front of you. We're like, oh, yeah, we can do that.
Right.
Whatever he says, we can do.
Well, yeah. I think...
We just don't want to.
I think, the whole Fuller's Brewery is amazing. And I think, there's been a little bit of modernization since, over time. At my brewery, I'm always trying to get new equipment and modernize things, as soon as I can afford it. So, nobody should poo-poo the fact that they've, put in some newer equipment or built a better lab.
Well, if it was good enough for King Edward,
The place is still amazing. I mean, it is one of the coolest places, and there's, the rabbit warren of, ladders and tunnels and everything else that's going on there. The first time I was there, Henry took me and my friend Travis on a little tour, and he was like, well, I'm not supposed to show people this, but come on anyways. And, there were times when we had to, hunker down and just about crawl to get through, and it was fascinating. And it is every bit as historic as you imagine, a 173-year-old brewery to be. So, really cool. And that the people are so, so technologically savvy and, passionate about brewing. You go to some bigger breweries, and the people working there really don't give a crap. They're like, just workers in a factory, not at Fuller's. These people are passionate about beer, and they want the beer to, they want it to be the best, and they want to, experience it, and they're really living that beer. And that's really what I find, just wonderful.
Well, it's wonderful to hear you say that, and I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, I just loved my time there. I thought it was one of the best experiences in my life. I told people, I don't know if I told you this, Henry, but I said it was the fourth best experience in my life, right? So I'm married, and I have 2 kids. So there's 1, 2, and 3. And so the Fuller's Collab is number 4. The only reason it's number 4 is because I'm married and have 2 kids.
Well, it's right up there for me, Jamil.
It was fantastic. Well, all right. So did I tell you that while you guys were all gone to your meeting, and I'm sitting there in the booth, so this is the second day, and I don't know how much you were kidding, but you were like, hey, all the brewing team needs to go to this meeting. We're going to be gone for about 45 minutes to an hour. You mind watching the brewery while we're gone? You know what you're doing.
You've done the induction. You'd been there for a full day.
Right. You're like, if you could rinse out the kettle, the troops up in kettle 1. You've got a batch of Pride in number 2, and I'm like, okay, sure. And so I'm there. I go and rinse out the kettle. People are coming and giving me numbers. I'm like, somebody opens the door and goes, 40.5. I'm like, 40.5. All right, yeah. I write it down. I'm like, okay, 40.5. What did that mean?
The dump button again?
Yeah. And then I'm like, just don't touch any buttons. And then the tour group, did I tell you the tour group came through? And whoever's leading the tour is kind of like, who the heck is that? I'm like, oh, well, whatever. And then the people on tour, they're taking pictures of me. They're waving, hey. I'm waving back, hey. And they're taking pictures of me. I'm sure I'm on Facebook somewhere as, hey, we did the Fuller's tour, and here's the brewer.
Someone must have recognized you in some photo somewhere on Facebook, like right. Jamil left Heretic, and he's a shift brewer at Fuller's. What is going on?
Oh, it was fantastic. I'll tell you, I
Jamil,
loved it so much.
the truth is, you were the brewer at Fuller's for that 45 minutes.
That's right. Don't you forget it.
Exactly.
Put that on my,
to prove it.
You put that on my resume now.
Henry, are you going to come and brew at Heretic at some point?
I am desperate to. We need to organise that, Jamil.
Yes, I absolutely want it to happen. It's a matter of I don't know, getting on a plane, come over here.
And it's a matter of Fuller's paying for it, but I will work on that. I think it's vital for our exports to the USA that I come over.
Be warned, though, Henry, because the brewery Jamil was talking about earlier, where all the employees are just kind of there, it's basically just a factory. He was talking about Heretic.
I didn't want to say anything.
Well,
tell Fuller's that you're going over to learn advanced souring techniques.
There you go.
That's the one way to absolutely not get on that plane.
I'll tell you, who has great employees. When I was in Indiana, I went by Great Fermentations. I went to the 2 stores there.
Oh, you did?
I did. Awesome. Fantastic. 1, beautiful stores, clean, well organized, great selection, and great smart people working there. When we say that, they've got some of the best trained staff in the business, and especially when it comes to like Blickman products, they are just fantastic. Their customer service, they're just nice folks. That stuff happens from the head down. You don't have an organization that has great people in it unless the people at the top are really exude the right attitude, and that really translates.
Brewing Network excluded, of course, from that description. Well,
they say the fish stinks from the head down. This is why we have these odd odors here at the Brewing Network. I'm glad you got to go there. That's really cool. Yeah. Same-day shipping, wonderful folks. You can check them out, greatfermentations.com. They're on Facebook, Twitter, all that. If you get a chance, I would check them out. Good people, and really just a boon to homebrewing and etc. All right, let's take one more short break, and we'll be back and talk some more with Henry about brewing at Fuller's right after this.
Beer tasting games that train your palate, a brewery locator, and the brand new interactive beer style guide. These are just a few of the awesome things you'll find on craftbeer.com. The style guide is a beautiful example of technology in beer. Browse beer style families or turn on the automatic beer style finder and explore beer through color, bitterness, ABV, aroma, and flavor. It's really the coolest way to explore every beer style besides having them all in front of you. Go to craftbeer.com and click on Beer Styles to start the guide. Plus, enjoy the rest of craftbeer.com, the Brewers Banter blogs, beer education, how to host a beer tasting, and the invaluable Draft Quality Manual. Tons of great content that makes your beer better. Visit the new craftbeer.com right now and explore the website that brings you all the passion, camaraderie, and creativity of the craft beer community. Craftbeer.com, celebrating the best of American beer. Hey there, BN Army. Have you heard the latest at Hop Tech? Since Hop Tech has doubled in size after a huge expansion, Jade and Roberto can stock even more of the best quality homebrewing supplies and equipment. Over 60 kick-ass varieties of hops and malts, monster truckloads of quality brewer's yeast, including White Labs, Y-yeast, and multiple dry yeasts. They even have all grain systems from Grainfathers and Ruby Street Brew Systems, thanks to Jade, the brand new all-grain brewer. And don't forget about their 10% discount to all BN Army members. Jade and Roberto are waiting for you and all of your brewing questions over at hoptech.com. Hoptech, totally not sucking since 1983.
Hey, my brewing brothers and sisters. This is Jamil Zainashev, and I want to tell you about Heretic Evil Twin. You might be familiar with my homebrew recipe, which uses massive late hopping to create a balance between the malty sweet and the hoppy bitter, along with an outrageous malt and hop character. I wanted a beer with the same bold hop and malt character, so we played around with the homebrew recipe until we were able to make a great commercial version too. We've created a beer rich in malt character, full of caramel, toast, biscuit, and an ever so subtle roast note. On top of that, we piled in an insane amount of Citra and Columbus hops at the end of the boil, as well as in dry hopping. This damn-the-cost approach to hopping gives Heretic's Evil Twin a great blast of citrus and tropical fruit that can't be matched by any other hop. The result is a bold, malty, hoppy, but easy-drinking beer. This is our top seller, our flagship beer, and I couldn't be prouder of it. Cheers.
To find Heretic beers near you, click on Find Some at hereticbrewing.com.
The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
Do you like beer? They make beer.
Watch out!
Do you like friends and fun? They make friends and fun.
Watch out!
Do you still like to have a good time? The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
The 21st Amendment in San Francisco, located at 563 2nd Street, 2 blocks from the building where baseball is seen and played. Try their beers in the pub or try them in the can, featuring Monk's Blood. Made with real monk.
Watch out!
So why not have the best time of your life? Go to the 21A and Sean O'Sullivan will personally greet you with a can of
Monk's Blood.
The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
This advertisement is not in any way affiliated nor associated with the 21st Amendment Bar and Pub, nor its subsidiaries or affiliates. This telecast is not copywritten by the 21st Amendment for the private use of the Brewing Network. Any use of this telecast without Jamil Zainashev's consent is prohibited. Suck it, JP.
Back to the beer guys that make other beer guys look like wine guys. Brew strong.
All right, we're back. Yeah, when we're in Minnesota, we also, John, hung out with the our good friend E. Rector.
Oh, yes?
From Lamont. That Brew Lab, we
Brew Lab guys, yeah.
continue to use that at Heretic regular basis. That's our data for our water, and somebody actually emailed me. It's like, I'm a home brewer in Fairfield, and the local water report doesn't really show anything.
Is it Mickey Mouse? Who emailed you?
That's how I assume all you people are. And hey, I could have said, well, why don't you spend $20 and send it to, one of the testing labs and find out that way. But instead, I pulled up the data from our regular weekly water testing that we use with the Brew Lab and sent that to him and gave him nice, precise numbers on what the current water was. And he was very thankful. But I would say this to you, if you don't have a brewery willing to do that for you, which I would not recommend harassing breweries for their water testing. Because, one, a lot of breweries are not bothering to test. And two, the ones that do, it's just like, really? This is another thing we need to do? I would suggest getting yourself a Brew Lab kit. We have the Pro version, but the homebrew version is every bit as accurate as the one we're using. The homebrew has a few less tests. Doesn't come with some of the meters that the other one comes with, but every bit is accurate and every bit is valuable and cheaper to use per test than by far sending out for testing. It's pennies.
Quick, reliable.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Check them out, Lamont.com, I'm guessing?
Yep.
There you go.
Also available from quite a few homebrew shops these days.
Yeah, absolutely. You bug your homebrew shop for to get them in. That's good stuff. If you're interested in water, that's the one to get. All right, Henry, so one question I'm sure people have on their minds is, all right, so Fuller's, they've been brewing 173 years, and, what do you attribute the success to of Fuller's, and why is the beer so good? What tell us your theory on all this.
Wow, that is a huge question.
Yes.
I think one of the real reasons why Fuller's has done so well is that they've just sort of stuck to their guns, really. I don't want to get too historical about it, but when the campaign for real ale started in the 1970s, Fuller's was still sort of flying the flag for real ale or cask beer, whatever you'd like to call it. And they really benefited from that because people realised that Fuller's made great beers. And the big thrill about showing people around is that we still have one of our 140-year-old mash tun is still there. And we still pretty much mash in the same way. We still are a traditional British brewery, and we've sort of kept to that. But then also, as you saw, we've invested a hell of a lot of money in new technology further downstream to really kind of keep the DO levels down in our beers, really improve shelf lives and things like that. So it's a combination of being traditional, but also being quite, being very, very serious about innovation where we can sort of fit it in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And, what secrets can you tell us about, so you're doing a hazy IPA. Did anything come of using the wisteria? So they have this wisteria tree at the brewery. It's like the second wisteria tree planted in the UK. This thing's like 150 years old, right? Something like that.
Well, we tell people that it's 300 years old. The building it's attached to is only 200 years old. So you do the maths. I don't know quite how that happened. But, it's beautiful.
So several hundred years of brewers peeing on this tree after having a few pints has made this thing into a thing of glory. But I was telling Henry, use that in a beer. This is, again, the insanity that I brought to Fuller's. I'm like, wisteria, a little bit poisonous, and it's all right.
Yes, again, we did look into that, but we did get nervous eventually, I'm afraid. Because I think when you arrived, it was just about to blossom. So we were like, look, we've got this beautiful 2-week window to harvest.
Yes.
But, yes, sadly, or maybe not so sadly, we kicked that one back into the long grass. We'll wait until next year to discuss it again.
Oh, my gosh. All right. We need to get on the record right now. I will come back again at the blossoming time of the wisteria, and we need to brew another beer using the wisteria. And it was such an amazing story that would be.
It would. I don't. Yes, they might not let you back in, Jamil.
That's true. Hey, the Goza worked out fine.
It did. And also, sorry, I should say on the subject of the Goza that our microbiologist Tommy, who I think you met, he was the one tipping in the bacteria. He did an incredible job culturing that up.
Yes.
He really sort of made it all happen. And he would be incredibly upset if I didn't give him any respect or props for that, because I know he feels that, he hasn't been given the accolades he should have done, because he really made that whole thing work.
Yeah, and I think the whole team really pulled it off. You had to open up some part of the feed system and cram in bags of rice hulls to make that work, right?
Yes.
So what was the port you were putting in?
Yes, the oat husks. Yeah. Oh my God, I forgot. I blanked that out. I'm sorry.
It was such torture.
But because it's a single infusion mash tun, so you've just got the false bottom there. There's no, Lauter ton arm or any of that other stuff that I don't understand about German brewing systems. This beer, this Goza, was 50% wheat. So normally the mash tuns can't deal with perhaps even 15% wheat, a malted wheat as a total grist. So I had to get some oat husks in true homebrew style, and open up the rollers of our 100-year-old 4-roller mill, open that up and pour these oat husks into the top so that they could go through the mill and out to the conveyor system that would take it over to the grist cases. So, yes, that was about 20 bags worth, so that was half a ton. And unfortunately, one of the bags was just full of oat husk fluff, is the only way. And I'd gotten so into the zone of doing it, I didn't notice until basically it looked like I filled the mill with cushion innards. So I then had to, and unfortunately this was halfway through, so I had to hoover that all back out again. That was a really low moment at about 8 p.m. that night. But that was, and if that's not craft, I don't know what is. And the best thing is that I could see those oat husks glinting at me from the mash bed. I could see almost each individual one, and that's how I knew it was worth it. When we didn't get a stuck mash and it just looked lovely and clear, it was all worth it.
Oh, yeah, you showed true dedication to your little oat husk children.
I couldn't stop at that point,
Right, yeah. Oh, there was a moment where you told me, you're like, I'm not sure this is going to happen. When we were at the Paraflow, we're trying to get the wort from boiling down to 100 Fahrenheit or 37 C. It just wasn't working, and you were like, I don't know if this is going to work. And it was challenging all the way through. It
was, and like a true manager, I delegated to you and Amanda, and you guys got it done, basically. I was so impressed. Jamil, your attention to detail there, you were so instinctive about these things. You were just looking at it, and you were talking to Amanda, our Paraflow operator, and you just got it done, and I was looking on in awe. Like, this is it. These guys are really taking us over the hump here.
Yeah, it was kind of an idiot savant moment. I was staring at the screen. I didn't really know what I was looking at, but I had a feeling that we needed to double the speed. And I told her, like, double the speed. And everyone's like, double the speed? I'm like, yeah, double the speed. Everyone's like, double the speed. And then you were kind of like, well, yeah, go ahead. And it worked. And what I realized later on is I instinctively knew that the sensor coming out of that was measuring the outflow of the temperature was further away from where the glycol and water and all that was being applied. And so there was a lag time between the two. And by the time the flow reached that sensor, it was either too cold or too hot. And so it was vacillating wildly. And had the sensor been closer, the flow could be less. But with the sensor at whatever distance it is, I don't know, we needed more speed so that the feedback loop was tighter. And I don't know how I knew that, but I just sensed it and knew it at the time. So, hey.
Yeah, I mean, it was magical to watch, Jamil, and also because what the listeners have got to remember is that we'd actually cracked open our Paraflow at this point. So we'd kind of done some things. We'd opened up some 4-inch pipework on one copper and connected a hose to the Paraflow, and then sent it round to the other copper, to enable this to happen. So it was looking like a ungodly mess in the first place, and then we started it out. So I was practically clinging onto the hoses because I just thought that they were going to start kind of whipping around.
Because the system
is, it was like I've never seen the Paraflow look like this.
The system is designed to go out of when they say Paraflow, they're talking about heat exchangers to the fermenter, and you had to fool it into thinking it was going to the fermenter, but then pipe it back to go to the kettle with the brewer hose, and it was a very questionable moment. And
I mean, the heat exchanger can run at 600 hectoliters an hour, so it really whips through. So yeah, that was, as we say in England, squeaky bum time.
Speaking of squeaky bum time, have you used the Brew Guru app? The AHA has this Brew Guru app, and it's one of the resources that they provide to membership that will show you all the great places to get the AHA discount at various breweries and restaurants and homebrew shops, and it is fantastic. It's quick. They got a lot of information that you can have access to if you want to. They curate what they feel is some of the best articles for knowledge. You can get that through the app. It really is cool, and you can get it by going to the AHA website and looking for the Brew Guru. They also have that thing available through all your app locations, like the Google Play Store and the App Store, and the small child that lives at the end of your couch probably has it, things like that. So check it out. It is the Brew Guru app. All right, I need to take one last break before we wrap it up. So we'll be back, and hopefully, Henry, you can stick around and finish up with us right after this.
Brewing great beer is a process of continuous learning, and the best books on every aspect of brewing can be found at Brewers Publications, with more than 50 awesome titles like Modern Homebrew Recipes by Gordon Strong, Designing Great Beers, the Ultimate Guide to Brewing Classic Beer Styles by Ray Daniels, American Sour Beers, Innovative Techniques for Mixed Fermentations by Michael Tonsmeyer, For the Love of Hops, The Practical Guide to Aroma, Bitterness, and the Culture of Hops by Stan Hieronymus, and Radical Brewing, Recipes, Tales, and World-Altering Meditations in a Glass by Randy Mosher, plus many, many more. These are the books and the authors with the knowledge to push your brewing farther than you thought possible. And you'll find them all at fine homebrew and book retailers everywhere. And visit the website at brewerspublications.com. Brewers Publications, all the best on beer and brewing. Your support of the Brewing Network means everything to us. We couldn't produce shows without you. And we love giving you something extra for that support, like Brew Your Own magazine. You already know it's a great brewing magazine full of recipes, equipment how-tos, discussions of beer styles, and brewing techniques. Whether you're new to brewing and just starting out or you're an old pro, you'll always learn something from the articles in Brew Your Own. Plus, there are amazing special issues like plans for building a Brutus 10 system, 250 classic clone recipes, and the Homebrewer's Answer Book. Brew Your Own magazine and BYO.com are awesome resources for any brewer, whether for yourself or as a gift. When you subscribe or resubscribe from the Brewing Network homepage, you directly support programs like this. Get a great magazine and support the Brewing Network. Subscribe to Brew Your Own right from thebrewingnetwork.com.
Are you a member of the White Labs Customer Club? If not, you should be. It's the easiest way to earn free stuff for turning in your old homebrew labels from either Vials or Pure Pitch. All you have to do is save your labels and redeem them for things like free yeast, an exclusive White Labs t-shirt or sweatshirt, and even the opportunity to brew with the yeast man himself, Chris White. Signing up is easy. Just go to whitelabs.com/customer club, fill out the registration form, and then mail in your labels. They will return the favor by sending you awesome White Labs swag. Go sign up today at whitelabs.com/customer club. White Labs, pure yeast and fermentation since 1995.
Learning to brew has never been so disgusting. This is Brew Strong.
All right. The Homebrew Label Awards are back. Submit your artwork at homebrewlabelawards.com and let your homebrewing peers shower you with votes. They'll spray those votes all over you, apparently. The labels with the most votes can win fabulous prizes. Pretty easy, huh? Last year we handed out over $5,000 worth of prizes to the winners, and this year we're doing it again. No labels, no problem. You can check out the cool labels being submitted and cast your vote or vote on your favorite ones. Help your fellow homebrewer achieve fame and glory. That is homebrewlabelawards.com.
You know what I miss most about this show is the disgusting look on Bevo's face whenever you make jizz-related jokes. I miss that.
Oh, yeah, I hadn't noticed.
Yeah, you got your back
Bevo.
to her.
Looking great, Bevo. Enjoying the jizz-related jokes?
So good.
Hey, somebody's got to do them. Somebody needs to keep the jizz jokes going.
Somebody.
Oh, Henry, you chose the right show to be on. That's for sure.
Yes, I've drifted off. I couldn't hear those words from your mouth, Jamil. It was too much.
Well, if you want anything for your resume, being on the show, I mean, really, carry this around on a you got to get like a big bag of flash drives, copy this show to them, and everywhere you go, just hand them out like business cards. Say, hey, here's me. Really proud of this appearance on Brew Strong. I think.
Yeah. The first hour, definitely.
After minute 56, it really fell off a cliff.
Yeah, usually about 10 minutes in, that's when it starts getting a little rough. So, What haven't we covered? John, did you get it? I've been tying up the conversation here.
Well, I do have quite a few questions on Party Guile, and for those of us that didn't actually go to Fuller's and get shown around, I would love to hear more step by step, hallway by hallway descriptions of brewing at Fuller's, because that's not to riff on Monty Python too much, but Fuller's is one of those holy grails of English brewing for us here in the States.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you what. We are out of time.
Great question, though,
great questions. If you can talk Henry into staying another hour, and when he needs to get up at the crack of dawn to get to Fuller's at the crack of dawn, if you can convince him to stay another hour, we can carry him over to the next show.
I would love to. Henry, what's your schedule like? Do you have 5-10 minutes free?
Or, no, we're talking hours.
It would be my honor. It would be my honor, John.
Excellent.
That's good, because I'm dying to know about the blackberries, too.
We're going to stretch 5-10 minutes into 2 hours, I'm sure, but excellent.
We'll have to roll it over to the next show, because we're out of time.
Yeah.
Everybody okay with that?
I am.
All right.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
If you want me to hang on for another hour.
If that's okay. I know you've got the long train ride and all that, and you have to be there at the crack of freaking dawn, so it's much appreciated. All right. Great show. Thank you, Henry. Thank you, Fuller's. Thank you, John Blickman. Thank you, Great Fermentations. Thank you to everybody. Thank you, Scott, for coming in and making this happen at an odd hour for us. And thank you, Bevo, for everything else. I enjoyed this, and if you enjoy this, I would strongly suggest you check out our sponsors and check out the Brewing Network store. You go to thebrewingnetwork.com/store, and you're going to find all sorts of interesting goodies in there. Right now, they're running a great special on surfboards. They are 50% off on some high-end surfboards that's got the Hop Grenade logo on there. It really looks cool. It is like a top high-end professional surfboard that normally sells for thousands. And they're $300 a piece now?
We're giving them away, yeah.
Free shipping, too.
Yeah.
Now, it's limited quantity, so if you hear this, hurry to the store. If there's no more available, then you must have missed out. Really, fantastic deal. You gotta get yourself in there. There's lots of other good stuff in there. There's growlers and shirts and hats and stuff. But the surfboards, that's what you want.
Next week, we hope to have bass boats.
The bass boats are coming. Bass boats. All right. Until then, super strong, everybody.
Strong.